How's it going, everybody? Well, here we are, guys. After multiple delays, high profile departures, and revamps later internally of this game being like restructured as far as development over time, we are 1 week away from the role playing game Avowed coming out, launching on February 18th for Xbox Series X, S, and PC. This is nearly 5 years after its initial announcement in 2020, and given the genre's popularity, expectations are high. At $70 for the standard edition, $90 for the premium edition, granting 5 days of fake early access, here is everything you should know about Avowed before you decide to pre-order. Set in the world of Aora, similar to Pillars of Eternity, Avowed takes players to the living lands, where a mysterious plague called the Dream Scourge is wreaking havoc. As an envoy, you seek to discover what's going on and ultimately stop it. But it turns out there's also a specific connection to the land. Despite the familiar setting, you don't need to play the Pillars of Eternity series to understand the plot. Don't worry, you won't be doing it alone. There are 4 different companions to recruit throughout the game. These include the science-focused Giada, the soldier Kai, the hunter Marius, and the scholar Yatsli. Up to 2 companions can travel and fight alongside you. And along with unique abilities and skills, they also have separate side quests. Then there are factions. It wouldn't be an RPG without factions. And thus far, there seem to be at least 3 notable options. The first is seemingly tied to your duties as an envoy to stop the Dream Scourge, while the second believes it's a symptom of a threatening rot. Then there's Giada's side, seemingly suggesting to open yourself to its mysteries and become the protector of the living lands. Regardless of which you choose, your destiny will significantly change. You have interconnected zones as well. The world of Avowed is shaping up pretty nicely, with extensive attention to detail and varied environments to explore. Various previews have noted all the little things you can discover, like secret areas with chests, puzzles, and side quests on top of varied enemy types. It's not quite an open world, but there are several open zones to explore which are interconnected. Quests are a major part of the experience as well, and what's especially interesting is the various ways you can begin them. In Avowed, most quests have more than one way to initiate them. There is full flexibility on how you want to decide the order. Terminate an NPC, give specific items to them, and so on. You are in complete control at times. It's even possible to approach dungeons from different paths. The objective is for players to make it through the world in an organic manner and continuously focus on exploration and finding every nook and cranny of the world. But of course, you also make plenty of choices where many consequences won't be immediately obvious. There are choices that you're going to make that are going to have immediate effects, choices that you'll make that will have effects that you'll see maybe hours later, and some that you'll make that you'll come to see at the very end of the game. But along with that, you've got choices that are very intimate and impactful for specific characters, and some that affect the state of the entire settlements of the living lands and the living lands at large. These choices will also affect your bonds with companions, which can come back to reward or haunt you, or likely a bit of both a few hours later when you meet those characters. Depending on your decisions, it may even be more challenging to earn an ally's trust. When it comes to combat, as showcased since its reveal, combat in Avowed is real-time, with players free to mix and match weapon types, skills, and more with relative freedom. So you can wield a weapon in one hand and cast magic with the other, or dual wield certain weapons, leading to ridiculous combos. It's even possible to switch between different options depending on the situation. Adding on to that, the weapon types available to you, for example, include dual pistols, but you can also wield 2 wands at a time, which makes spellcasting faster. Otherwise, the usual swords, shields, axes, bows, and whatnot apply here too. Weapons can also be enchanted, adding elemental damage and upgrading over time. I know when Avowed's combat was first revealed, it didn't look super impressive to me and a lot of other people too in general. Part of the reason being due to the weapon reactions. Fortunately, things on this front have been improved significantly, with much praise given to senior combat designer Max Matzenbacher. Speaking of PC Gamer, the developer said Max has the superpower of looking at an animation and deciding how much hit stop there should be for it to feel good. He has tweaked every weapon with hit stop differently, like the hammer. The special attack kind of lodges the hammer into the enemy and then brings it down for an area of effect attack. He's done such a fantastic job, and he's done it with every weapon. The result is more weighty and visceral combat that feels more realistic. to the extent that weaker weapons may even bounce off instead of slicing through. In terms of PC requirements, Avowed will be slightly heavier than your average RPG. Minimum hardware includes an AMD Ryzen 5 2600 or an Intel i5 8400, 16 gigs of RAM, and a Radeon RX 5700, GeForce GTX 1070, or Intel Arc A580. The recommended requirements include a Ryzen 5 5600X or Core i7 10700K, 16 gigs of RAM, and a Radeon RX 6800 XT or GeForce RTX 3080. The performance and settings in both cases are unknown. At least the required installation space is only 75 gigs across the board. Fortunately, NVIDIA DLSS3 is supported on PC at launch, which should help with performance. RTX is also available, resulting in ray-traced reflections and improved global illumination. You can also toggle NVIDIA reflection for lower latency responses. Now, regarding accessibility features, Avowed offers the usual, like toggling head bobbing, field of view customization, adjusting the text size of the UI and subtitles, turn off camera shake, and so forth. However, the controls are also fully remappable, and localization is available for 12 languages, though voice acting is only in English. You can also switch toggle hit flash in different scenarios, like when staggering enemies, and even enable companions to manage their own skills. Something that's perhaps the most intriguing option for the UI is the ability to hide failed dialogue checks. As PC Gamer noted in their preview, this means not being able to see the stats required for certain choices. It's an intriguing option and one that adds to the role-playing experience like few other titles. Let's talk about Xbox Series X and S frame rate. It recently was confirmed that this will be able to hit 60 FPS on both consoles. Even though originally the developer first told the Iron Lords podcast that you don't necessarily need that 60 frames, and that it allowed the team to get a lot juicier with VFX and lighting and other stuff related to that. But I'm happy to tell you, nope, 60 FPS will be a thing on the console versions of Xbox Series X and S for this game. Lastly, I want to talk about the scope and playtime for Avowed. So the original plan was for Avowed to be Skyrim-like and also implement co-op. Neither went as planned, but the experience is still fairly sizable. The developer compared the scope to the Outer Worlds when speaking to Game Informer last year. Players can expect a roughly similar experience, just like the Outer Worlds, depending on what kind of difficulty they play on and how thoroughly they explore and invest inside content, versus just sticking to the main critical path missions. If you decide to opt into all the extra content, then this could mean about 30 hours of gameplay. But for those keen on story-focused experiences, it may last 15 hours like the Outer Worlds. So it's all up to how you want to play it. That wraps up everything you should know before you decide to buy this game, as well as a last thing to note here. It will be available on Game Pass day one if you do not want to buy the full game, guys. So keep that in mind. If you have Game Pass on PC or console, you can play it that way. That's going to be my way to play it, most likely. Check it out, see if it works good, see if it runs good on my PC and things like that. Because I do want to check it out, possibly live stream it, see if I like it, and want to do a full playthrough of it. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. Does this get you excited to get Avowed and play it? Or are you going to pass this up? Are you still busy with, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? Or just more excited for Monster Hunter Wilds that's about to drop at the end of the month? Love to hear from you in the comments below. Sound off, please. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please hit that like, subscribe if you're new. My name is Mike, and I'll see you in the next video.